40 wins. That was ESPN's prediction for the San Antonio Spurs this season. And it wasn't just ESPN. The consensus around the NBA was, despite having talent, the Spurs were a team that would be fighting for a play-in spot. Well, there's just over 20 games left in the season, and the Spurs have not only surpassed that 40-win prediction already, but instead of fighting for a play-in spot, they are fighting for the best record in the NBA. And for a team who was 13th in the West just one season ago, I don't think we're talking about this enough. Because whilst everyone knows about Victor Wembanyama, the demigod who is averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and nearly 3 blocks per game, the Spurs also have a record of 10-4 without Wemby this season. De'Aaron Fox is an all-star, Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper are future all-stars, everyone on their team plays a role, and Mitch Johnson might be the coach of the year. As great as Wemby is, this is a great team, and a team capable of winning a championship this season. Something no one saw coming. But they're too young, they're inexperienced, they haven't been in the playoffs before. I'll be honest, I'll take a team with inexperience over the rest of this Western Conference. Because aside from OKC, tell me who you trust in this conference. I love Jokic, but the Nuggets look awful, the Rockets hate each other, Rudy Gobert just said the Wolves need someone who can pass, the Lakers can't defend, and the Suns have had a great season, but they are absolutely cooked now. Which leaves two teams in the Western Conference who have been consistent all year long. And it's very convenient that the Spurs have won 3 games against that other team this season. And not just against OKC, but Detroit, Denver, Minnesota, LA. In fact, the Spurs have the most wins against above 500 teams of anyone in the league, tied with the Pistons. So yes, we do need to put them in title contention, even if they are quite young. And to the surprise of no one, it is their defense which is leading the way. And obviously Wemby is the biggest reason for that, but there's another very big reason. And I am being quite literal when I say it is another big reason, because last year, when Wemby went to the bench, the Spurs weren't just bad. They were an absolute train wreck defensively. That has all changed this year because of one man in particular, Luke Kornet. Maybe this isn't good timing to talk about Luke Kornet because apparently he's in a discussion about Magic City and strippers and a whole bunch of things that, honestly, I'm not too interested in right now. Shout out Magic City or not, I think his heart was in the right place. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is what Luke Kornet has done on a basketball court, that has been very impactful. Because if you were to just look at Luke's stats, you would think, is this an average backup big man? I mean, there are countless backup centers in the league that average more than just 7 points a game, that have more to their offensive bag than Luke Kornet, that look more like NBA players than accountants, but none of those guys are as impactful as Luke Kornet. Because compared to last year, when the Spurs were a train wreck with Wemby off the floor, this season with Wemby off the floor and Luke on the floor, the Spurs have still been an elite defense and an elite team. And obviously it's not just Luke. This is a team full of players who have all bought into what Mitch Johnson is trying to instill. No one plays if they aren't fighting on defense. There are games where Luke only plays 10 minutes, Keldon might only play 15 minutes, and then the other nights, those guys are the most impactful players on the floor. There's a reason Jeremy Sohan lost his spot in the rotation. I don't believe he's a bad NBA player. The Spurs are just that deep with so many good players that anyone can lose their spot, including Harrison Barnes, who was playing 35 minutes a night earlier in the season, who was looking like one of the most impactful role players on this team. Now he's coming off the bench and only playing 20 minutes. He hasn't exactly fallen off a cliff. It is because of who has replaced him. And this right here is the most underrated player on this entire team, and possibly in the entire NBA is Julian Champagnie. The twin brother of Justin Champagnie, Julian Champagnie is someone who fits this team like glue. For a team built around a generational talent, and then the likes of Fox, Harper, and Castle, who were all top 5 draft picks, all the best teams need a guy who got it the hard way. Initially undrafted, then signed by the 76ers before getting cut. Ever since the Spurs picked up Julian Champagnie, they haven't looked back. Because ever since being picked up by the Spurs, he ranks first in games played, first in three-pointers, second in blocks, third in steals, and fourth in points. That is incredibly impressive for someone who was picked up off the waivers and has done all of this on a minimum salary. And in a league where Mikal Bridges, who by the way is better than Julian Champagnie, but goes for 5 first-round picks because he's a 3-and-D player, or teams are using the number 1 overall pick on a 3-and-D wing, getting someone like Julian Champagnie, who plays defense, is versatile, knocks down his open threes, and is getting paid absolute peanuts, which I hope changes for him in the future, it's invaluable to a team like the Spurs. And you know who else is underpaid? Victor Wembanyama. Because for a guy who is still on his rookie contract, he's already one of the best players in the league. And recently I've been seeing more and more tweets and discussion about Wemby in a bad way. Because apparently if you score 15 points in a game, it means you are no longer impactful or you are no longer a generational player that is living up to the hype. And this is where expectations have fried people's brains. This is the best player on the 3rd best team in the league, the best defender in the league, averaging 25 a game, disrupting offenses every single night. Is he perfect offensively? No. Is he still one of the most impactful players in the league? Yes. Because for Wemby, he can have games like against the 76ers where he scored 10 points, which for casuals is a terrible performance, but there was a reason he was a plus 41, because the other team scored 90 points and he had 6 blocks. Or against an even better team in Detroit last week, where he shot 6 of 16 from the field, but was the best player on the floor, because he is breaking games with what he does defensively. Just like here where Cade gets the switch onto Vassell, he backs him down, and as he turns to that floater, look at Wemby just swat that out of the air. Or this time where Cade waits for Duran to occupy Wemby. And look here, Cade waits just until Wemby has turned his head and his body, and Wemby doesn't even turn his body until the ball is in mid-air, and he still has the ability to block that shot. Do you understand how unfair it is that he can commit to another player and still block the other player's shot? And just to further prove that, after those 3 blocks on Cade, this time Cade tries to draw him over before finding Reed, and you know what Wemby does? He takes the bump and then just almost grabs the ball out of the air. And this is a play that only Wemby can make. He is so large that he can wait for the ball to be in the air and still get it on the up. This is why you'll see players on the bench calling out, like, that's goaltending, ref. That's not legal. No, it shouldn't be legal. It should be against physics and the laws of physics, but it is perfectly legal in an NBA game because Wemby is simply built different. So next time he has a 6 of 16 shooting game, ask yourself why he was still a plus 30 against one of the best teams in the league. It's because he is doing this every single possession on the defensive end of the floor. And let's also not pretend he's some scrub offensively, who's also averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists a game on solid efficiency. Wemby is by no means disappointing or not living up to the generational tag. And there are so many players on this Spurs team that you could talk about. We could talk about De'Aaron Fox, who a lot of people questioned for being an all-star, because when you look at the numbers, he's only averaging 19 points and 6 assists, but then you realize he's having the 2nd most efficient season of his career. De'Aaron Fox is doing what everyone on this Spurs team is doing. They're taking a step back so the rest of their team can thrive. There's a reason the Spurs have been the best team in the NBA over the last 2 months. It's because all of these guys are playing for the team. And honestly, I don't care if 3 of their best players are 20 years old. This is a team capable of winning a championship. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, you might as well subscribe for more content like this. Click here or here for other videos. Drop a like. Have a great day.